the beautiful thing about the beautiful thing about being a part of today, like in with the technology, is that we can meet people wherever they are. We can meet them across the board, from so many different walks of life and specialties and expertise. I love that so much. And today I'm super excited. I get to bring on a speaker. This is the amazing Dell Halaway, who is based out of the Las Vegas, Nevada area. And he's going to be joining us at the Provo, Utah Energy Healing Conference at the Marriott there, the Provo Marriott Hotel and Conference Center on October 26th. And I'm super excited because he's been able to help people, literally thousands of people, for the past 40 years. And so we're feeling pretty lucky, pretty blessed over here to be able to have him be a part of our next event. And for those of you who are watching right now, I'm just curious if you have been to one of our conferences and our events in the past. Would you just go ahead and throw down one of your favorite emojis? Maybe just share which year or which one it is, or if it's like 5 or 6 or 10 or 20, you can just say, I've been to lots or whatever, however many you think you've been to. I'm curious to really just to see, who's been a part of our events in the past. Okay, so Caitlin says she's a newbie here. I love that. Thank you for being a part of our events here. Well, we have done over 100 energy healing conferences and events, and we are just so thrilled, so excited to continue bringing them to you. And this next one is going to be no exception to the rule. We're going to be bringing out all the stops. We've got different activities, vendors, and classes for you to be able to come and participate in. And the cool thing about it is it's not just something that you get talked at, if that makes sense. You get to be part of the game. You get to be part of the experience. So, for example, we'll have things like yoga and breath work, a couple different types of breath work. We'll have an interactive guided meditation. There are so many fun things. We have somebody who's going to be coming and teaching about the different principles behind yoga and so much. But today I get to introduce to you one of our esteemed speakers. And I'm very excited because we're not just going to do 1 or 2 questions and then that's it, like a little mini spotlight. We're actually going to be having him do a full presentation. And wonderful. Vicky says, I've been to several of Dale's, but none of mine yet. That's okay, Vicky. I'm so excited. Are you going to be able to come to the upcoming Provo Energy Healing Conference on October 26th? If there's anybody that's watching today who's interested in coming, we do have free tickets for you. You can either reach out to Dale's team or my team. I'm going to put my email up across the screen just in case you're watching just for a few minutes here briefly. I want to make sure that you are able to get that set of tickets for you and possibly even, a guest or a girlfriend group or neighbors or coworkers, or you want to bring your husband, or you're watching right now and you want to bring your wife, whoever you are, wherever you are, you're absolutely welcome. And we are so excited to be part of having you be part of it. Arden Compton's going to be doing a tapping session. Lindsay Price is going to be doing an emotional release breath work. We've got Katie Joe from the Sage Canvas who will be doing a ceremonial drum circle. Like, these are very interactive experiences. This isn't just something where you're going to go and learn about it, although there's lots of great classes like that as well. This is a transformative experience where you get to come and be a part of it. And then, as if that wasn't enough, we also are going to be having about 43, I think it's 44 actually, vendors that will be there. Many of them offering experiences there that you can sign up for, services, including free light therapy with the Lumaceuticals company, who's one of our sponsors. We have Sammy Brico And Heather Saxton. We even have a LGBTQIA plus and allies mixer and networking session. There's just so many fun things that are really, really there for you to be able to come have this face to face, this human interaction, right? It's just really exciting. So, without further ado, one of the things I want to share with you why we started doing these conferences is because I, as a mother of 8 from Utah, I started learning about energy healing and wanted other people to know about it. I felt like it shouldn't be a secret. And these other transformative experiences and opportunities for people is just a lot of fun. So, we've got some giveaways that we're going to be doing today. If you are watching right now, and let's say that you maybe haven't had a chance to learn about the conference, I'm going to go ahead and put a link over here in the comments for you so that you can find out more. Hey, Nikki, how are you, babe? Thank you so much, sweetie. Okay, so Caitlin says, lovely. That's excellent. Yes, I love the rainbow too. That is awesome. Free to be free. I love that. I attended your energy healing conference in Salt Lake City this year. It was fantastic. I will be at the one in Provo too. Thank you so much, Julia. I appreciate your support. You guys are awesome. Please feel free to put down any of the emojis that you really love. And maybe even if you have been a part of it, for those who are watching right now who have not yet been a part of it, can you maybe share just one of the things that was a big thing that stood out to you, one of the big highlights? I would love to have you throw that down in the comments and share the love there. Thank you so much. And we have a treat for you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and read Dale's bio for you. Dale Halaway has been influencing the lives and careers of thousands for almost 40 years. That's why I'm telling you guys, we're very, very lucky to have him be a part of this event. He is one of the world's leading authorities on personal and business transformation, entrepreneurial success, and real leadership development. He is an international speaker, master teacher, success coach, strategic advisor, and transformational authority. Dell is a leader in the movement for awakening and change and is the author of a new guidebook for lasting change entitled Being Called to Change, which has become a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And his class at the conference is going to be very inspirational, held at 1 p.m. at the Provo Marriott Hotel and Conference Center there. And his class is called Ascend to a Higher Frequency. Rise up to the new version of you. In this talk, you'll learn about the power and untapped potential that awaits you each time you ascend to a higher frequency. You'll also learn how to accelerate your transformation and the importance of a disciplined mind, which awakens your ability to bring consciousness to your ascension process. Excuse me. So this is really exciting. And for those of you who are watching right now, if you have seen Dale's seminars before, if you've already worked with him and been a part of that, would you mind taking just a moment to send him some love too? I feel like maybe clapping or maybe like some digital too. Maybe throw down one of the things that you've learned from him or something that you have experienced. How has it bettered your life? How has it helped you to improve? And we would love to hear from you. That will be awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Mickey and Charlene, whenever you guys are ready, you just let me know. I'm going to go ahead and do a few giveaways if you guys don't mind for the people who are commenting in our chat right now. We've got quite a few people that are live and of course that will be joining us on the replay. If you're watching this on the replay, put #replay down in the comments below. And we are on several platforms right now, YouTube, Facebook groups. We're just like all over the place here. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michelle. She says, sending my love out to you, Dale. Wonderful. Nikki says, April Perze took time at a conference to work on me and made such a difference to me. Beautiful. Yes. And Chris says live too. I'm live. Yes. Go ahead and put that down as well. Thank you so much. If you would like to learn more about Dale and his events, I do have a link that I would like to share with you. So whether you're on live or replay, you can benefit from this one, okay? So we've got some giveaways here for you. This one is learnwithdale.com. And if you go to that screen, you're going to see right at the top that he has his daily dose meditation. So you can download your free meditation today. And I know he'll be talking a little bit more about that, but just in case you're on for just a few moments, go ahead and click on that link. And all you have to do is go ahead and tune into that. And you can go ahead and jump on there as well. So, yes, Spearhead Trail says Dale is a real master. His transcovery, I love that, has changed the world and my life. That's beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you guys so much for your patience while he's jumping on. That's so nice to have him be a part of it. So if you're watching right now and you've been a part of our conferences and you have not heard of Dale, can you go ahead and check out that link right there, learnwithdale.com, and then just go ahead and click over to where it says daily dose meditation. I want you guys to be able to see that and get to be a part of that. This is just so exciting. And the other thing I want to say is that he does have a full hour presentation. So if you are like, ooh, I can't get enough of Dale's content, stay tuned. Maybe even pull out a little notebook so you can go ahead and jot down some thoughts and ideas and things that you learned, not just from him, of course, but from the downloads that you receive as well. So Tina says, I've learned about all different types of relationships, money, love, professional, and self. My life has changed drastically from attending Dale's teachings and his meditations. So glad to be here. Thank you so much, Tina, for sharing that. We appreciate that, that sweet shout out for him. Shauna says, yeah, I wish I lived closer to Provo. She's up in the Idaho area right now. Yes, thank you so much, Tina. We really appreciate you. That's beautiful. And sounds like my kids are checking on me, but it's all good. That's awesome. All right, you guys, this is so good. Thank you so much. And so you can go ahead, Shauna, even though you don't live closer to Provo, Dale has gone ahead and prepared this beautiful daily dose meditation for you anyway. So this is not just going to be available as a free gift for people who are local to Provo, who are close and who are attending. This is for anyone who's watching this broadcast right now. So you can download your free meditation today from the Daily Dose Meditation at learnwithdale.com. And let me just tell you a little bit about it while this is happening, okay? So, okay, this is such good stuff, you guys. Dale has designed this daily meditation specifically for you to start each day with your best foot forward. You are then able to be more present, make better choices, and experience more joy as your day unfolds. And as a special free bonus, that meditation, it's totally free, and all you have to do is go ahead and click on Learn with Dale, and then click on the orange button towards the top right there that says, yes, I want the daily dose for free. And if you're interested in learning more about his events that he has coming up, both in Utah and also Las Vegas, and then there's also some experiences also that are available online, you can go ahead and click directly on those links at learnwithdale.com. So very, very cool. I appreciate the fact that he's made it so accessible to this information for anyone who is watching, wherever you are, right? So beautiful content, beautiful shout outs for him. Thank you so much. Michelle says, I've been healed by him physically and mentally within 90 days of his wisdom and teachings. I've continued with him now for over 4 years, and I continue to evolve and am transforming with full involvement and my soul's journey. I have everlasting gratitude for Dale and his community. Thank you so much. Vicki says, since working with Dale, I have gone through a dark night of the soul, which I now understand. Now with his teachings, my vibration is rising and my own mystical abilities are expanding. He is a true spiritual teacher, and I am blessed to work with him. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Vicki, for the shout out. Keep them coming, you guys. This is beautiful. I love hearing these. Julia says, I loved the experiential events at the Energy Healing Conference in Salt Lake City this year. Thank you, Julia. The cacao ceremony, the sound healing, the breath work, and the shamanic ceremonies. They were all awesome experiences, and the vendors were fantastic too. That is beautiful. Okay. We are just waiting for one more second, and then we should have him on. So stay tuned. This is going to be a great treat. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for this love. I love it. Okay, everybody that's watching right now, whether you're live or on the replay, if you do not yet have a ticket, I just wanted to let you know why I was putting my personal email up here. This is my personal email. You are absolutely welcome to send me this. And we would love to give you prepaid sponsored tickets to the upcoming Provo Energy Healing Conference on October 26th. Dell has made a wonderful contribution that has allowed us to be able to do free tickets for anyone who is watching at this time. All you have to do is send me a private email, or you can also go ahead and respond directly to Dale as well. That is all happening on October 26th at the Provo Marriott Conference Center and Hotel. So yeah, that's awesome. He's not here yet, guys, but he will be soon. Okay, so let's see here. Mickey, he is not there, sweetie. I'm gonna go ahead and have you let me know when he is available, and then we can go ahead and bring him on. In the meantime, I think I'll go ahead and do a quick share screen for those of you who are watching right now, so I can share a little bit of what is going to be happening at this upcoming Energy Healing Conference. This is all happening, like I said, in Provo from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. You do not have to stay the whole time. You can come to the parts that you want to, but why not come to as many as you possibly can? This is Sonia Morgan. She is coming all the way from Florida to go ahead and do a presentation and with live interaction as a medium. This is Michael Sudbury, who is going to be going over the fascia and the energy systems of the body. So this is going to be really exciting stuff. He is the myofascial release and movement specialist in Utah. Lots of people have been telling me about him for some time. So when he wanted to speak, that was a no-brainer. Trevor Demick has been a part of our events for the last probably 5 years or so. He's done some personal work on me with my own brain. And so I'm really excited to be able to have him come and be a part of this as well. This is Bobby Richmond, or Robert Richmond, excuse me. That's what we should call him. It's awesome. He has made a career out of helping Fortune 100 brands wow their customers, along with wowing their most important assets, their employees. So that's exciting. Camilla Peterson's going to be talking about transcending your sensuality. And that's going to be a class that will be super hot. You won't want to miss that one. Marta DeBerard is a quantum light energy coach. And I just have the most amazing things to say about her. She's just been such a blessed person, has been very generous at all of our conferences to be a part of it. Without further ado, what I'm going to do is bring on the amazing Dale Halaway, because I can see him now. Woohoo! All right. There you are, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. My gosh, it was a little bit of a process just to get on here. For some reason, the link didn't pop until just literally 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, you're totally good. I didn't see you at all, but you know what? You have a crowd that is waiting for you. They're excited, and I have already done your introduction, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn the time over to you. Does that sound okay?
Oh, thank you, Tammy. Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to join you all here. This is something that's very exciting to me when I get to talk about my favorite topics. And on this particular platform, the two topics that I'm going to kind of hone in on the little bit of time that we have here with you all. The first one is going to have to do with money, and more specifically, the flow of money. So money in itself is obviously a wonderful thing because it's so neutral. Of course, we attach our identity to it. We can attach our emotions to it. We can attach all kinds of things to it. And sometimes that serves us really well, and other times it might not serve us all that well. But the point here is that I want to emphasize on this particular forum is that when money is doing its job in our life. And yes, and it has a job, believe it or not. When it's doing its job in our life, one of the ways in how we recognize that, there's a better, healthier flow, a better, healthier flow. Now, before I go any further, I'm also going to touch a little bit on higher frequency, the topic of higher frequency, and more specifically, ascending to a higher frequency, because as you're going to see here in a little bit, I'm going to draw a direct connection between these two principles, or these two bodies of teaching. So when we come back to money, the question that I often get, and I teach a lot of people about money, or have taught a lot of people about money, and more specifically, how to create a better flow of money in their day-to-day world, personally, professionally, and so on. So as it turns out, I know a fair amount about this particular subject, but the question I often get is, what is money? And I remember many years ago, I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to, instead of the audience asking me what is money, I'm going to pose the question to the audience. This was maybe 20 years ago. And from that time to this, I started posing the question, well, what is money? And if there's 500 people in the room, and we had the time to go around the room, it's absolutely amazing as to how many different definitions people carry inside themselves to money. And so I'm going to simplify this right now, just because we're on a little bit of a shortage of time here. We're only going to be together for maybe 55 minutes or so. But here's the deal. The most common answer to what is money is energy. It's energy. It's not consciousness. It's energy. And I'm sure many of you know there's a real difference between energy and consciousness. And so, in fact, there's a whole set of universal laws that govern each one. And when we look at money, why would this be important? Why would it be important to know that money is really energy? Now, we can also refer to it as currency. We can refer to it as something we exchange services with, and it's all that too. But at its core, it's energy. It's energy. And because it's energy, that's why money in our lives, in all of our lives, believe it or not, is meant to flow. It's very similar to water. Water, we all deserve water. We deserve to have an abundance of water. And the water is to continuously flow. It's to flow into our lives and then out of our lives. Well, believe it or not, I'm using that as a metaphor, but it's directly connected to also money, because money as an energy, just like water is also an energy, and they're both meant to flow. So in our lives, if by chance our money, as in an energy, is not flowing all that well, what that means is there's something off. And more specifically, or more than likely, that something that's off has to do with us. And I'm going to break this down a little bit just in the next few moments to help you to get a better understanding of where I'm coming from and ultimately where we're going to go with this here on this platform. So when we consider it as energy, it now changes everything that fast. And what I mean by that is money, with it being energy, is something that we can actually create. In fact, we can create more of it should we so desire. Now, yes, because I work with a lot of people and I've been teaching for a long, long time at this juncture. And so I've heard all kinds of stories. People tell me, no, money is not flowing all that well in my life. And they have all kinds of stories or evidence to back that up. Then I have other people who tell me it's somewhat flowing and they have evidence to back it up. Then I have others who tell me it's flowing abundantly, it's flowing incredibly and consistently, and they've got evidence to back that up. So who do you listen to? Who's really got this thing tapped in, so to speak? Well, because this is something that I've been very fascinated with for actually most of my life, what I've discovered is a lot of really profound truths, higher, greater truths, or also known as universal laws, that govern the actual flow of money. Well, if we don't know what this is, then there's a likelihood that we start doing things that cause a backup or cause a blockage, cause a jamming-like effect, if you will, within the flow of money. to where now the money is not flowing perhaps the way we would really like it to flow or even need it to flow. Yet, if we knew what's really going on here and how this really works, and then more specifically, how do we identify whatever that energy is inside of us that's blocking that flow, sticking that flow, jamming up that flow, clear that up, well, what do you suppose happens next? Exactly. All of a sudden, money starts flowing again. It's kind of like your water line inside your house. If that main water line gets plugged, well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what happens next. It's going to show up in your faucets in your home. Whether it's your kitchen faucet or your bathroom faucet, you get the idea. It's going to show up. There's just going to be a little bit of water that's going to come out of that faucet. And you're going to think, oh my gosh, did they cut off the water? No, they didn't cut off the water. Something got jammed in the line. And if we can't identify what that is and then how to actually get in there and clear up the jam, then the water is just simply restricted. Yet all along, there's a supply, an abundant supply of water on the other side of the jam, on the other side of the block. I couldn't come up with a better metaphor than what I just did in related to money. It's the exact same thing. Now, it plays itself out differently, of course, but in terms of those water lines, there are lines that bring the water into your home. Well, there are lines within you. They're called energy centers or energetic dynamics or energetic tones within you. And if they're all turned on and they're all moving properly and there's nothing in there blocking the flow, one of the ways in how you recognize it is if you really want to create more money, you can create more money. I've helped people literally who are struggling. They needed, I don't know, we'll say, I'll keep it really simple, $3,000. And they're so stressed and anxious about this $3,000 that they need because, they got to pay a bill. They might have to pay their mortgage payment. You get the drill. There's reason for them to be a little stressed over this scenario. They'll come into one of my money mastery classes. And literally within the money mastery class, we identify the blockage. The blockage gets cleared. They leave the class, and sometimes within a couple of days, the $3,000 manifests. I've got so many stories. Sometimes it blows people's minds. And again, when you understand what money is at its core, it's energy, which means you and I can create it. And if we're struggling and we need a little extra, $2,100. I also work with business people, CEOs of companies, and some of these CEOs, they got big payrolls to make come payday of $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, so on and so forth. And sometimes they're running short on the money, believe it or not. But when they learn how to do this, it's a game changer, an absolute game changer. Because in a company, not only do you have the CEO with his or her own internal water lines or money lines, so to speak, within the company, because the company also carries a collective energy, as in like the oversoul of all representatives that are representing that particular organization. Well, that all goes into one energy center, so to speak. And if the lines to money get plugged up, jammed up, then, well, you kind of see it from there. So when those can be identified, then again, if that's what you want to do and your intention is clear and clean and pure and strong, then you can definitely create more money. Now, it's got to be within your means. And what I mean by within your means, it's got to be within your inner capacity. So inside of us, we have a capacity, or also known as a container, an energetic container within our field of consciousness now. And that energetic container, some people just have like a pint full, meaning their container can only hold a pint of money. Others have, a gallon. Some have a barrel or 45 gallon barrel, so to speak. And I'm using that all as metaphors to make the point here. But and you'll see this because you'll come across people who just, for some people, they can manifest money like the blink of an eye. And other people, they couldn't manifest, an extra $1,000 over and above their regular pay if their life depended upon it. Well, it could be both because their money lines are jammed internally, or one of them are jammed. It could also be that their container They don't even know they even have one of these. And therefore, they don't know that they're responsible for the expansion of this container. And that's one of the cool things here. That container is like an accordion. And one who knows of its existence and then knows how to expand it out, stretch it out, can literally do that. And that's a good thing because there's a law that governs this, a universal law, and it's the law of vacuum. And so what that means is as my container becomes larger, just naturally, as long as those lines are open and clear, money just starts to come to me to fill up the container. And if the money hits the top of the container, then in the world, I also work with a lot of salespeople, sales organizations, and we're always dealing with this. We call it their glass ceiling. They get to $80,000 a year, and for the life of them, they can't make any more. And yet their coworker is making $180,000 a year. Explain that one. How does that work? And they were trained the exact same way by the exact same trainer over the same amount of time, and yet one on their best of days, they cannot get themselves over 80 grand a year. And yet one of their colleagues is already at 180 grand a year. What is it? What's the difference here? Well, this is something that I've spent my lifetime thus far studying and working through and ultimately mastering, so I can get really good at teaching it to others and helping them, in this case, to open up that flow. So that container, everybody has one. And one of the ways in how you know what size it is because if you have somebody like me in your life as a coach or a mentor or teacher, then I will be teaching you, or I would be teaching you how to recognize this and then how to begin to expand it, how to begin to stretch it. Anybody can do this. Now, do you know how? Well, obviously, if you did, you probably would have done it a long time ago. Do you even know you even have one? Maybe, maybe not. It obviously serves everybody really well to know that this exists inside of every one of us. It then becomes a question of what's the size of the container. Whatever the size of the container is, that's the only amount of money that can flow into that person's world, period. And if by chance it goes over, you end up in an overflow situation. And just like in your house, if you start to overflow with water in your house, well, guess what happens next? Exactly. So something similar here, somehow, some way it gets shut down. So in the world of business, in the world of selling, in the world of marketing, in the world of where people are earning money, would like to earn a little bit more money, expand their income, increase their income flow, all of this is a possibility. There's no question about it. And if you reach your glass ceiling, and notice I refer to it as a glass ceiling, implying that it's a glass ceiling. It's not metal, it's not steel, it's not even solid. It's a glass ceiling, implying that we can punch through it. We can break through it. You can, I can, all of us can. And yet, what's even more fascinating is how many people on our planet have the exact same cap on them financially. They're currently in their 50s. They have the exact same cap at the age of 50 that they had at the age of 20. So clearly, they didn't get the memo yet. Or if they did get the memo, they weren't able to understand it and understand how this really works. And yet, if they took the time to find a program, to find a seminar, a class, or a teacher, the mentor who's gone much further than they have, who not only understands this, but is a walking example of this and knows how to teach it, knows how to break it down, so that we can wrap our brain around it and say, oh my gosh, this is getting exciting now because I'm starting to feel like I could actually do something really constructive. I could really change my reality. I could level up my financial reality. Boy, what kind of difference might that make in my world? Incredible. So I refer to this as money mastery. And in fact, I have a number of classes on money mastery, but one of my classes is 3 days long, and it'll be coming up in Utah here in the month of November. I'll touch on that a little bit later on. But money mastery, it's 3 full days. And in these 3 days, what I've touched on so far, this is not even the tip of the iceberg in terms of where we go during those 3 days. But here's the deal, is that where we want to be moving towards the mastering of our money flow. It's like money works its best, it serves us at its best when we become the master of it instead of allowing it to become the master of us. Again, another phenomenon that I've seen. In fact, when I was a kid, I almost turned it around because my father, when he was still with us, he had it backwards. His money controlled him. And throughout his 75 years of his life, he never got in control of his money, even when he had money. Think about that for a moment. Here he finally gets to a point because he grew up in poverty, literally poverty, and over time he was able to accomplish some really cool things financially, but he was constantly controlled by it. He never ever got to a place in his 75 years where he felt free. He was always under the control. He never became the master of the energy of money. And I watched the pain. I had a front row seat. In fact, I almost went down that path myself, given he was my father and I was the oldest in the family. So the good news is I only started to go down that path. I recognized something was off. This is not right. This is not how I want to live. And so I rerouted fairly early in this life. And then as a result, here we are today. And I'm now teaching classes on money mastery. So in money mastery, if you're going to rise up, I say if, because this all gets to be everybody's choice. Just like it was my choice, it's all the students that have come into my classes in the past, it becomes their choice, it becomes all of our choices. So when I choose that I want to, at the very least, get a little better, and instead of having money control me, for me to get a little better in being in control of it. So in other words, I'm going to call the shots, not the money. I'm going to call the shots. Well, when you understand some of these universal laws, for example, that govern how this all goes, including that law of the container, when you understand this and you know how to expand it, then by law, money must come in and fill up the container. But remember, your container is similar to your ceiling. So if the container is this big, then your ceiling's probably here. If the container is this big and this deep, then your container is, you can't even see my hands on the screen right now. It's wide. And so as in universal law, this is governed because it's energy and you have a money container. And so by universal principle, our containers, to whatever size they currently are, must be filled up. Unless we do something really, shall we say, stupid and become really sabotaging oriented, where we're sabotaging our money supply. Maybe we're turning down opportunities. Maybe we're not learning what we're ready to be learning in order to capitalize on opportunities, as an example of that. Or maybe we're spending our money recklessly. Maybe we've got a gambling problem, and every time we make a little bit of money, we go out and we gamble the money rather quickly. Or maybe we have some other kind of a problem and that we haven't yet healed up. And because of that, every time our container starts to fill up, boom, the money goes right away because of whatever the addiction, the addictive behavior that is, that we possibly still haven't fully dealt with, at least on a conscious level. So money, if we're going to get better at, number one, being a little more in control of it instead of it controlling us, or better yet, possibly moving towards the mastery of the energy of money, then one of the things that you're going to want to learn about is your relationship. Your relationship, believe it or not, with the energy of money. So money is, again, energy. And inside of us, we have energetic tones, or just simply energetics. And these are very specific energetics that then govern, drive, influence the kind of money, the amount of money, the way the money shows up into our day-to-day world. So, and this is all based on where we're at in current time in our conscious relationship to the energy of money. So you might think of it this way. You know, you have your primary partner, your significant other, that you clearly are in a relationship with, you're in a partnership with, and consider for a moment, like, what kind of relationship do you have? What kind of relationship are you in with your partner? And how conscious are you of that relationship with your partner? How well do you know your partner? How well does your partner know you? How well do the two of you work together? How much of the time do you see eye to eye on things? What happens when you don't see eye to eye on things? How do you deal with that? Do you have a good strategy, a real effective strategy that the two of you are both on board with, that you use right away so you can help better navigate through whatever that tougher conversation might be that the two of you find yourself having? So, like your relationship to your partner, believe it or not, you currently are in a relationship with money. Now, you might not be fully aware of your relationship, and I only say that because for every 100 people that show up at any of my money mastery classes, and they're new to me, in other words, they haven't been to previous seminars of mine, if they're brand new to me, I can already tell you what the ratios are going to be. I already know that the majority of them, the majority of those 100 new people to me for the first time, the majority do not have a very good relationship that they're conscious of, that they've entered into the energy of money. Now, of course, there's going to be a smaller percentage that will have a healthier relationship, and they'll know it right away. In fact, they'll appreciate the idea that I've even asked the question, because now they get excited, like, whoa, what else he's going to be teaching us today? This is really interesting. How many people talk this way about our relationship to the energy of money? Whoa. Well, this relationship to money, I could go on. I could use the full 3 days just taking everybody into a deep dive on their own individual relationship to money. We don't, because I want to blend in all kinds of other teachings as well whenever we spend 3 days together. But this relationship to money determines so much of what happens when it comes to those money lines internally, the money lines that we're currently holding inside, whether they're really open and fluid or possibly plugged and jammed. It determines the size of our container. It determines whether or not we even know we have a container. This all comes back to the relationship. It determines if the relationship is really vibrant and radiant and healthy and super conscious and responsible, then more than likely you've probably expanded your container at least 3 or 4 times over the last number of years. I only say that because anybody I've come across that really does have a vibrant relationship, or anybody that I've helped create a vibrant, radiant relationship to money in their own individual worlds, this is what happens. This is by far, it always happens. As soon as they get their first experience of what it's like to expand that container, then they settle in on that, because you've got to have an experience with that. There's a whole another type of experiences that have to come with that. That'll be unique to that individual. But then eventually you're going to be ready for the next expansion. And when you're ready and you go for that next expansion, it just gets more exciting because it opens up more doorways to maybe better opportunities, richer opportunities where you get paid more, or the money becomes more consistent in your world, and so on and so on. Or it could be too that, I know that when we have a real healthy relationship to money, one of the things that clearly shows itself to somebody, the healthier the relationship, the more vibrant, radiant the relationship is to the energy of money in their life. One of the ways that how it shows is because they become remarkably receptive. They become remarkably receptive to receiving money instead of always having to work so hard for it. Did you catch the difference there? There, believe it or not, are people who literally have struck this place. They've developed this within inside themselves in that of their conscious relationship to their own energy of money, and where they actually receive, in some cases, they receive more money than they actually go out and earn. If you can imagine that, I know for some people it's even tough to even comprehend that, because we've been conditioned in our culture. We always have to work for the money. Work for the money, work for the money. And if you end up going to your grave working for money, working for money, working for money, and not that we shouldn't have a good work ethic. I'm all for having a good work ethic, all for it. Ask anybody who knows me really well. I really cheer on a good work ethic. But to know that, again, money is energy, and to know some of these other things that I'm focused on here, and know how to really access them and integrate them into your being properly, and all of a sudden, you find that maybe you don't have to always work for money. Of course, you're probably still going to keep on working for money. But what would it be like if all of a sudden you start receiving money out of nowhere? Out of nowhere. All kinds of stories, at least from some of my students, all kinds of stories on this type of an event that happens. Now, if your relationship to money is not that conscious, if it's more unconscious than conscious, if your relationship to money is not that responsible, it's more irresponsible than that of responsible. If your relationship to money is not vibrant and radiant, in other words, it has more of a denser type effect to it, then yeah, more than likely, you've got it down where you've always got to work for it, and you got to work hard for it. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But to know that it could actually be easier, you can still work for it. But to know that if you were to learn how to do this in relation to your own relationship with money, and all of a sudden you just start receiving money kind of out of the blue once in a while, what might that be like? How might that change things for you? So before we're done here, I'm going to share with you, there's a number of different characteristics, like a lot more than 10, for example, that where people who are in a better, healthier flow of money, they don't stress over money, they don't become anxious over money. Money is always there. As I often say, money always has their back. But more importantly, they know. They know within the cellular structure, within the 50 trillion cells that make up their physical form, they know at a cellular level that money has their back. They know this. In fact, to stretch it a little further, they know that this is their truth. And when you know that the energy of money has your back, based on this incredible, again, go back to a relationship with your primary partner. When you know your partner has your back, beyond a shadow of a doubt, just that in itself speaks volumes as to the kind of relationship you're currently in with your partner. When you know beyond a shadow of a doubt your partner has your back. Well, something similar you can create with money if you haven't already. When you have this type of thing going on, one of the things that happens, there are characteristics. There are two things. Number one, there are different states of consciousness that start showing up. Number two, there are characteristics or qualities that also show up that drive what's known as the right mindset for money, or also known as an abundant mindset. We don't have time right now to go through the many of them, but let me give you just a couple of them. So one of these characteristics that's a standout whenever you're around somebody who has a truly vibrant, radiant relationship with money, and where money clearly has their back and they know that without question, is this. That person is always on good terms with money. Always. Now, to give this some contrast, somebody where they don't have that kind of flow of money, they might be on good terms with their money today, and yet tomorrow they could be on not so good terms. They can vacillate. They can go back and forth, sometimes like a yo-yo. It's quite interesting. Of course, they don't know they're doing this because their relationship is such to money where they're not fully conscious yet of it. They may be somewhat conscious and then somewhat unconscious. But there they are. Today, they're not on good terms. Again, go back to a primary relationship in your life or a real good friendship. If today you're on good terms, of course, that's going to feel really good. It's going to open things up even more possibly. But if tomorrow you're not on good terms, then what happens? Exactly. It changes the energy. Well, whenever you're around somebody who has this consistent flow of money flowing into their life, they might not even be a millionaire. I've met some of the most fascinating people in their 80s and 90s that mastered this. They literally mastered this. They weren't millionaires, but you know what? They never worried about money. They never worried about money. They would often talk to their children and their grandchildren and so on and so forth and try to encourage them, but they were not good teachers. They were not good teachers of money. So it never really landed with their children. But for them, when I got to spend one-on-one time with them, I mean, it was just so obvious that these people had this wonderful relationship with money, and you could see it by the result in the money that was being produced in their world in a more natural, organic, and consistent way for them. to the point where they never worried about money. Never worried about money. In other words, they became free. They became free because now they knew that they knew money has their back. They knew of some of these principles that I'm highlighting here right now. And more importantly, this one here, they maintained their relationship. They kept it on good terms with the energy of money. I'll give you another one. People who have a real vibrant relationship with money, they talk about money a lot. They are not afraid to talk about it. They are not ashamed to talk about it. Actually, they're quite excited to talk about it. Now, this is really interesting because when you understand money as an energy, money, because it's an energy, it does not have the ability to resist. It does not have the ability to ward anything off. So money as an energy is very much like a sponge. So if I start talking negative about money, if I start putting money down, believe it or not, the energy of money in my life takes that kind of personally. And not personally, as in like we might take something personally, but it takes it on because it's like a sponge. It must. It's going to sponge it up. And when it sponges it up, the message it walks away with, oh, he doesn't want much money. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it. Well, whereas when somebody has a real healthy, conscious relationship to money, what happens now, somehow along the way, they've learned how to like the money. Therefore, they're okay now with talking about the money. Somehow they've cleared out their shame and guilt that they used to carry around money, and it changed everything for them. In other words, it produced a better flow of money in their world. And including when sometimes the money wasn't as abundant this month as it was last month. They remained calm because they knew it was all going to take care of itself. And uniquely enough, it always did. But that was coming from inside of them and then literally being broadcasted right into their current relationship to that of the energy of money. I'll give you another one. They appreciate it. And they're very quick to let you know how much they appreciate it. They appreciate the money. Now, most of these people, at least in my experience, including myself, one of the reasons why they appreciate it so much because they had a period in their life where they didn't have much of it. Maybe like my father, they were born into poverty. Maybe that's what it was. But uniquely enough, then even my father, when he started to have a little bit of money, actually he came into, he earned his money. But even when he earned it, he still couldn't appreciate it. And so it was just really tight, very restricted, really capped big time. And therefore he didn't have any fun with it and so on and so forth. But he did start making more money. He did end up with a little more money than how he entered into this life, no doubt about it. But he never got to that point of being able to appreciate it. And there's something so magical and so special and quite frankly divine when you're able to genuinely and sincerely appreciate the flow of money in your world and what money does for you, the opportunities money gives you, the doors that it can open for you, the things it allows you to do for your children, for your family, the things it allows you to do to grow your career, expand your career, or if you have a business, to grow and expand your business. It's really an amazing phenomena, but it only becomes amazing as a phenomena to those who have this type of relationship where the result is such where they're just a better flow. It's a healthier, more consistent flow into their day-to-day world. I'll give you one more, and then we're going to move on. The characteristic of learning about money. They have this, I don't want to call it a thirst because it's really not a thirst. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle because they like money and they appreciate money and they're A-okay with talking about money. So then they just naturally want to learn more about it. So what's interesting, these are the people that when they hear Money Mastery is coming around the corner again, these are the ones that right away, right from the get-go, they sign up for the class. Like that quick, that quick. And you would think, well, doesn't even look like they need the class. Oh, but they feel they do. And it's because of this characteristic. It's an ongoing, I've come to appreciate this even within myself, that it's once this becomes a lifestyle, this in itself further nurtures, supports, fosters one's relationship, healthy relationship that would be, to the energy of money in their world, personally and professionally. Again, just so dynamic. My intention is that we get this out to as many people as possible. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what I'm sharing here right now. But there's just so much to learn, and once you just even start to tap into this, it does get exciting, and quite frankly, it becomes incredibly empowering, like authentically empowering. Like, holy cow! I could really take control, healthy control, that is, of my own financial destiny. Now, this is really important because what happens if the economy goes to, in a handbasket? What happens if the economy crashes and burns like it did in 2008? What happens then? Well, some of you probably are thinking, well, everybody's going to crash and burn. Yeah, some will crash and burn with the economy. There's no question about it. In my life, I've been through at least 8 different recessions. I've survived every one of them, and not only did I survive them, I survived financially. I didn't lose any money. I didn't have to close down any businesses, none of that stuff. So, as a result of going through as many as I've gone through, I've learned a lot of things about this economy when it comes time to turn itself upside down for some kind of a cleansing effect. And I'm sure you all know, or many of you know, there's something going on with the economy, and implying that our economy, because of this bubble we've been living in for a while, something's about to happen, and not because we're going to be punished. It's because it needs to happen. It needs to go for its natural cleanse. The time has come for it to be cleansed. But also to that, know that whenever this sort of thing happens, it all comes back to your relationship with money. Those who have a healthy relationship with money, at least in my world, and again, I've been at this for a long time now, in my world, having gone through as many recession times as I have, these people never seem to be affected by the downturn of the economy, at least to the same degree that everybody else is. Everybody else is not learning about money. Everybody else that doesn't really appreciate money. Everybody else that's not on good terms with money. Everybody else that has a difficult time even talking about money because somehow money's bad, at least in their mind, coming from their point of view. It's those people that are affected the most when the economy does a downturn. Partly, in all fairness to them, they don't even know what they're working with. They don't know what they're working with inside. They clearly don't know what they're working with outside in their external world, as in the collective economy, the larger economy, as it's going through its cleansing process. So this is a whole nother, in fact, this is one of the reasons why it's been a good, probably 2 years since the last time I've done one of my money mastery classes. But this is why we're doing it in November, coming up here, November 8th through the 10th, I believe, again in Utah. And by the way, we do this in person. You can come and join us right in the room. You can be right there with me and everybody else that comes and joins in. So you get to benefit from our community there. But if that's not appropriate, you can join us via live stream. We have the whole thing. You can get a ticket on the live stream channel. And if that's not convenient for you because that particular time you've got a wedding you've already got planned and you got to go and obviously you can't get out of it, no worries, we got your back. Big time, we got you covered because we have what we call an extended replay option that you can also purchase. And the replay is literally the unedited version of everything that took place in that 3-day class. And then you get it for an extended period of time. You can go in at your own convenience and really take in the teachings and start to benefit from them. But here's what happens is that in mastering money, it's looking at, both our relationship. It's also, now I'm going to touch a little bit on higher frequency or frequency. So money, so far we've talked about the money lines, the internal channels. We've talked a little bit about the money container. We've talked a little bit about the relationship to money. We've also talked about a handful of characteristics of those that really do have an abundant mindset, which means they have a consistent, steady, natural, healthier flow of money into their worlds on a regular basis. But there's another piece I'm going to touch on here before we close out our time together, and that is this, and it has to do with frequency. There's another law that governs this. It's known as the law of vibration, or the law of vibrational frequency. This actually supersedes the law of attraction, believe it or not. I know a lot of people got really hooked into the law of attraction. I love the law of attraction. I teach it deeply and powerfully and really practically, and help a lot of people better understand how to really use that law. But to this, there's another law that actually supersedes, or quite frankly, it actually precedes the law of vibration, or the law of attraction, and that's known as the law of vibration. So the law of vibration basically says that everything in the universe carries a frequency. The frequency, like that of a radio station, 98 FM 0.5, 93.1.5, you get the idea. These are all frequencies, and there's many of them. There's not just 5 of them. There's many of them. Well, in the universe that we're all a part of, guess what? There's many frequencies. Here's another news flash. With anything that we manifest in our world, in this case, I'm going to bring it back to money. If what we want to do is manifest more money, whatever that might mean, and everybody's going to have a different definition on this, obviously, but whatever that means, this is what it really means. So wherever I'm currently at with my money flow, that level of money flow represents a frequency. If I want to rise up, level up, and start to enjoy a greater flow of money in my world, then what I need to learn how to do is first recognize its frequency. So that would be like you're on the radio station and you want to change the station. Well, the first thing you got to do is, if you're going to change the station, you can either just go surfing. That's one way. Another way is somebody turned you on to another frequency. You've always been on 89.8, and somebody's turned you on to 99.7, and they tell you about these great things. You're going to love it. It's going to make you feel good. And all it's like, oh, I want that frequency. Well, you've got to know where the frequency is. And then when you get to that frequency, then how do you sustain it? That becomes the next part of the challenge, so to speak. So if I want a greater money flow, I can have a greater money flow. You can have a greater money flow. Any of us can have a greater money flow. If you go back to what I shared a little bit ago about where are you at with your receptivity? Where are you at with your receiver? Like, could you literally, just for the sake of it, receive money without always having to go to work for it? I already know the answer, at least for most. Most cannot do it, at least just yet. That is something you got to learn how to do. At least in my world, that's what I've seen over and over again with people over the years. However, anybody can learn how to do that. So, but to that, that comes into this whole idea of frequency. And now I'm going to take it a step further. A step further now is a frequency match. So for those of you who are taking good notes, you might want to jot this down. A frequency match. What does that mean? That means that if I want a new level of money flow, or a greater level of money flow, I've got to be able to recognize it at a frequency level, a vibrational frequency level. And usually this is where a good teacher comes into play, or a real good coach comes into play, or some kind of a good guide or mentor, somebody who's gone further than we have, that really does understand this, like embodied it. They embody it. That's how deep their understanding is of it. And so we hang out with them on purpose for a while, and next thing you know, they start to illuminate our pathway. They start to point us in the right direction. You still get to do the work, as in your own work, just like they had to do. But, oh God, how beautiful is that, to know that you have somebody that's actually lighting up your path for you and point you in the right direction. You still do the work, but point you in the right direction. Next thing you know, you recognize, oh my gosh, the frequency match. Not quite there yet. To have a frequency match, that means I now know that in order to produce, manifest a greater flow of money in my day-to-day world, which I could do, but in order to do that and actually have that stick, the only way that I know that is real, you've got to match up with its frequency, which really breaks down to this. You've got to create and ultimately embody that match frequency inside of you. And when you do this, in other words, when that frequency that automatically represents a greater flow of money, when that frequency has been built properly inside of us energetically within our own neural network, it's there at a cellular level. All 50 or more trillion cells carry this frequency now. You become the total embodiment of this newer, higher frequency. Once that's in place, by universal law, not because Dale Halaway says so, far from it. This has nothing to do with Dale Halaway. Remember, I utilize the exact same laws. That the same laws I'm governed by are the same laws you're governed by. That's why they're called universal laws. And so what happens is at this juncture, because these laws state this so clearly, then that new level, that greater level of money flow must now become a reality, but not only become a reality as like in an inkling, it must now become a reality that anchors to that of your life, personally and professionally. It's the most beautiful setup. It just, a lot of people don't understand it. That's all. They haven't been educated properly. What I'm focused on here this evening, for the most part, you don't learn about this in university or colleges and high schools and so on and so forth. Usually you got to go find somebody or find a program that really knows how to break this down and teach this properly. Then the other piece is you got to be receptive. This has got to be something you want. Again, going back to one of those characteristics, as in if you want an abundant mindset, one of the characteristics is they're always learning about money, because money is energy and they know that money is abundant. And if they just want a little more of the abundance, they can have it, you can have it, I can have it, we can have it, we all can. That is a truth. But will you do what's necessary in order to have it? Will you take the time to learn how to do this? Will you take the time to practice some of these disciplines and turn them into a lifestyle? For if and when you do, then all of a sudden you become the beneficiary of this. And it is quite a beautiful thing. So I think on timing wise here, I probably only have a little bit of time left. So I'll touch a little bit more on this and we'll start to close this up. So one thing I wanted to mention is for those of you that are feeling any kind of resonance with me and you'd like to be a part of our database and where we send out free stuff once in a while, you can go to our website and you can sign up and get on our list. And actually, we've set it up quite easily because we're also going to give you a free gift by doing so. And the free gift is one of our meditations. We have a rather unique set of meditations that we've created over the years. We have a lot of them. One of our meditations is called the Daily Dose. Daily Dose. If you go under our website, you'll see it sells for $19.97 or $20. We'd like to give it away for you for free tonight, or this afternoon, or this morning, whenever you're taking this message in. And all you got to do is go to learnwithdale.com. 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 You'll see it right up there. We've already got it all posted, making it as easy as possible for you all. And if you want the Daily Dose meditation, you get it absolutely free. And then also by taking advantage of our little offer here, our free gift, and then you're just naturally will be signed up on our email list, which means we'll keep you notified of different events that are coming along. But we also are always throwing out some free stuff as well. So there's that. Then the other I mentioned about Money Mastery. Money Mastery is a 3-day long class. That's coming up again in November 8th, 9th, and 10th in Utah. There's 3 different ways in how you can invest in a ticket or a pass to come and join us if this is speaking to you in any way, shape, or form. And then the last thing I'd like to touch on before I wrap up the teachings for this particular forum, and that is this. As you know, Tammy puts on these amazing expos and just attracts some amazing people like yourself to her expos. Talk about somebody who has an impeccable work ethic and a phenomenal attitude and so service-oriented, both her and her husband. Amazing people. And anyhow, their expo, the next one that's coming up here, also in Utah, I'm going to be there. In fact, my team's going to be there. Mickey Manning She's our creative director for our company. She will be there in person. Charlene Fernandez is going to be there. She's actually the promoter for the Utah area for our Dale Halaway seminars. She will be there. We're going to have a big booth displayed there. We're going to be giving away all kinds of little freebies, some real good stuff that'll be free, as well as we always have some kind of a special offer that we also make available to anybody that chooses to stop by our booth. But lastly, I'm also going to be speaking. Tammy asked me to speak at the conference. I'll be speaking at 1 o'clock at the coming conference. And the title of my talk will be Ascending to a Higher Frequency. So I'm kind of touching on it a little bit right now. I'm blending it into my first message here around the flow of money because it makes good sense. And in fact, when I'm doing my talk at the expo on ascending to a higher frequency, we're going to go and explore other areas and why this is so important to know how to do this and the many different applications in our day-to-day world on exactly where you can integrate this into your life, starting right away and shortly thereafter start enjoying a new benefit. Like sometimes it's that fast because this whole frequency thing, as it turns out, is really, really where it's at. It's once you learn how to do this and you become that perfect match frequency-wise to that of what you so desire, what your heart really desires, you will be pleasantly surprised with how quickly whatever that is now manifests in your own day-to-day world. Tammy, I see Tammy's back on here with us. I think she's muted though.
Certainly I was. Okay.
There you go.
I am just sitting here. I'm riveted. I am just no wonder why Charlene was like, you have to have him speak, before you speak the first time. As I've been sitting here, I've looked over at my book.
Look what time it is. I see it.
And I've got so many books here. The Law of Attraction, You Were Born Rich, Think and Grow Rich, like so many about money, the Money Bible, and just on and on. Everything that you're saying, I just want to say I'm really resonating with everything that you're saying. And anyway, I'm super grateful because I had a couple of big insights. One of them is that I have affirmations of all the things I'm really grateful for that I'm appreciative of throughout, my house. They're all around all this stuff, right? Healing music, house, sunshine. And as you were talking, I had the thought, I wonder how many of these are about money. None.
Interesting.
I absolutely think that I really just was like, oh, well, I didn't know that. I wasn't even aware. So you're talking about this consciousness where people learn it and then they talk about it and then they, kind of pull out of it or whatever. I literally am like, oh my gosh, I have all these things that I'm grateful for. Like so many. I wrote tons. I mean, literally, even down to my plants. And there's not one about money. So I'm like, okay, this is, what? It's all about awareness, right?
It's a lot to do with awareness. And awareness can be a very powerful starter, igniter, because as we become a little more aware, that's what allows us to make a better choice or maybe the right choice to move us in a certain direction. And you'll be, I'm sure, happy to know that come the Money Mastery class, one of the things that we do is you're going to get some really awesome affirmations that are geared for money and a better money flow. But equal to that, you're also going to learn about some other processes or principles that further drives the affirmation into manifestation. So
I'm so excited. This is going to be so good. Yeah, I don't know why I'm echoing. Yeah, Jennifer's like, you're echoing. I'm not sure why either. But I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday evening.
Oh, you're so welcome, Tammy.
I really value what you've already shared. I can tell that your class is going to be just power-packed. It's going to be amazing. I'm very excited. Thank you for the generous gift as well. I appreciate that.
You are so welcome. Well, until next time, many blessings to you and all of your viewers.
You're awesome. Thank you.
You're
Stay
so
safe,
welcome.
everyone.